So I thought I would do a little walkthrough of what it's like, comparing these different frameworks. This is my cat's tail. So I just have a few frameworks, and then we've got this, our five main parts to reinforcement learning: the tasks, the harness, the rollout, the reward, and the trainer. And I will just walk through which frameworks cover what, because it just gives you a little bit of a sense of what's going on somehow. With verifiers, so this is from Prime Intellect, verifiers covers the environment bit. And the environment is basically the harness, the reward, and actually somehow the tasks as well. But you can define an environment, and then you can actually ship this to the to the Prime Intellect environment hub. And verifiers can carry out the actual rollout. Note that it doesn't touch the trainer at all. Tasks are kind of partly included. Prime RL is basically their trainer portion of verifiers. So many people it's very common to use verifiers together with Prime RL. They're also both from Prime Intellect, and Prime RL, I think, works very well with their hosted inference. And here you can see it's really focused on the trainer portion, and a little bit on the rollout because, but mainly it's just the trainer. And you can use this locally with your GPUs, or you can connect it up to cloud instances and so on. The closest next one, I guess, is TRL, which is from Hugging Face, which is basically running the trainer, and then it can connect to the harness and to the rollout. And you can either do this in a separate process and separate machine, or you can co-locate it in the same place as the rollout is happening. But it's basically focused on the trainer portion. OpenEnv is kind of interesting. Became recently well known or talked about because Hugging Face has acquired it, or not acquired it. Hugging Face has brought together a whole bunch of people together to work on it, and it's kind of the glue between various components. So it allows you to kind of plug in the trainer together with the rollout process. OpenEnv is kind of as far as I understand it, it's a server that allows you to separate out the training portion from the environment and rollout portion, and it kind of connects them in a way that allows you to plug them, kind of mix and match which things you use. So that's quite interesting, and there's a lot of support from big players for that. Harbor is an interesting one because it's very focused on the harness and the rollout portions. Obviously, you can define your tasks within Harbor, but really what Harbor is dealing with is kind of the orchestration of the rollout and how it runs on a particular harness. It's not at all interested in the training portion. I'm not even sure quite how they recommend or what their kind of their play is for how people use Harbor together with training. But it's a great way to do offline RL. Not sure about online. I guess I would need to look into that a bit more. But for rollouts, and it's very popular, and they have a kind of a built-in orchestration of all of the tasks fanning out in an async way, and so on. And I thought I would just mention Art because Art is kind of an interesting one. It came from OpenPipe. It still continues to be maintained, as far as I am aware, even though OpenPipe was acquired by CoreWeave, I think. And Art is kind of a framework you can use to plug into a pre-existing agent, and that handles the training as well. So with these other frameworks like verifiers and so on, you've kind of stepped away from the day-to-day of your working agent, and you're building tasks, and it's kind of a data set which maybe you build from traces from your agent or whatever, but you're not really touching your agent code. Whereas Art from OpenPipe is actually designed kind of to live alongside or within your agent. It kind of wraps around it, from what I understand. And as it says here, it's a wrapper that drops gRPO into an agent you already have. So that's kind of an interesting yeah, a slightly different kind of thing. And they have this thing called ruler, which is basically their judge to ability to define the reward. So yeah, this was just a little. I just wanted to give you a sense of like talking through how these different things like mix and match different components from the RL process.